Hey Donald, America hates you. The world hates you. You are the most loathsome president in the history of the United States, the most contemptible individual in the world right now, and Americans and the world are letting you know how we all collectively feel about you. History will not look kindly on you and your ilk. That protest I showed at the beginning of this video was from Cincinnati's 50-51 protest on Saturday. We saw thousands of protests like that in towns and cities across America. I'll be doing a whole other video highlighting the signs, the protests, another successful day of opposing the regime. So what's Donald Trump doing as his approval is plummeting to new lows? Donald Trump's approval on the economy, the lowest it's ever been, including his first term. Donald Trump's approval on all other issues, plummeting. Donald Trump's overall approval, plummeting across the board, even in Republican pro-Trump polls. He's underwater. So Donald Trump's posting this. Why? Because he's a liar. He's a fraud. He's a sexual predator. He's a felon. This is what people like that do. Here's what he posts. Trump's best poll numbers ever. Thank you! Exclamation point. Detached from reality, aka a fraud. Donald Trump then posts this yesterday. It's post after post after post like this. Ranked choice voting is one of the greatest threats to democracy. It is total and very fraudulent joke. And he puts joke in caps. Okay, I think you're referring to yourself. You, Donald, are the greatest threat to democracy. Then Donald Trump posts the following. I look forward to having Easter service early tomorrow morning at the White House! Exclamation point. Does every sentence you use, Donald, have to have an exclamation point? We don't look forward to you being in the White House for Easter. You know who also doesn't look forward to you being in the White House on Easter? The Pope. Yeah, Pope Francis skipped the Vatican's official meeting with Vice President J.D. Vance on Saturday, instead having his number 2 give the Vice President a lecture on compassion, according to a Vatican statement. The Vatican said that they lectured J.D. Vance on issues about
Hunter, Hunter, Hunter. I'm going to let you field those comments because you're going to get a lot of them. Because when I say things like that, it scares people. Because they want to believe that, but they are so scared to believe that. I know what I feel from what I'm seeing, what I'm hearing, and how I know cults break apart. So I feel good about things, but I can't give people a time frame, and I don't think it would be responsible to do that. But I appreciate your comment, but expect people to ask you questions. And, you can answer or not, but that'd be great if you could answer some. But yeah, it is absolutely happening. 100%. And that's the horrible beauty of malignant narcissists that want to be dictators, is they can't not be themselves. So that works to our favor because he can't back off. It's double down. It's gaslighting. It's keep lying. It's hit harder. We're watching him do it in real time. And so that's the beautiful part, but it's also the horrible part because we have things like going on in El Salvador. But, there's a lot of people that voted for him, but they don't really like him. They just want, the tax cuts, or because he's a businessman, or whatever the story is they've been told, or just because they vote Republican because they've always been Republican, and they don't know about the left other than the rumors, or they've met people on the left that are mean and nasty, which is 100% possible, happens all the time. We do it to each other over here, so I'm sick of the denial about the meanness over here. So they don't have a lot of reasons to befriend us and get to know us because we fight with each other. Why would we not pick on them? You know what I mean? So thank you for the extra validation there. I think it helps people, and it'll happen as it happens. But to know that it is happening does bring people some peace, and it is something that people that have been in MAGA, if they've been out and they can be vocal about it, it's critical. It's so important. So thank you.
Whoa, it looks like the Democrats are finally stepping up and sticking it to MAGA like we want them to. Check out this video of Senator Elizabeth Warren on Stephen Colbert explaining what their next move is gonna be. And let's just say it's gonna put Republicans right in. That's how you do it, folks. You force them to either do what's right, and then you have the only other option be publicly embarrass yourself. Because honestly, they've been doing that this whole time, but now it's like they're gonna be aware that they're doing it. Or honestly, maybe they won't. What do you guys think? Is Senator Warren on to something with this? Comment below what you think. And we know that content like this is getting suppressed, so go ahead, share, repost, and give me a follow so you don't lose me.
Hey MAGA, I keep seeing you guys make videos on here that say due process only applies to US citizens. It doesn't apply to undocumented immigrants or immigrants at all, for that matter. Here's what you're arguing in favor of. You are arguing that let's say you go to Mexico for vacation, and for whatever reason you get arrested. You are arguing in favor that the Mexican government can just take you and ship you off to a hellhole prison in El Salvador, and you will never be seen or heard from again. That's what you're arguing in favor of. In all of these posts, everybody always brings up the name Laken Riley, a young woman who was tragically and horrifically murdered by an undocumented immigrant. We got some beehives out. Cool. She was the only reason that you guys care about her murder is because she was killed by an undocumented immigrant. You don't care about the 5-ish thousand women who are United States citizens each year who are murdered by other United States citizens. I've not seen any of you propose or author or pass a law in any of their names. But you know what Laken Riley's murderer received in the United States? He received due process. He was arrested. He was read his Miranda warnings. He was charged. He was indicted. He was arraigned. He received a trial. He was convicted at trial, and he was sentenced. All of that is due process. He wasn't dragged from the jailhouse and hung on the town square without a trial. He received due process. And now no one questions his guilt because he received due process. He received a trial and he was convicted. The government says that Kilmar Abrego Garcia is a member of MS-13. Let them present their evidence and prove that in court. They say he's violent and a gang member. Let the government prove that in court. They say now he's a human trafficker. Let them prove that in court. Instead, our government has not charged Abrego Garcia with a single crime. This Department of Justice, as ideologically aligned and controlled by Donald Trump as it can possibly be, did not charge Kilmar Abrego Garcia with a single crime. He's not been charged with a single crime in El Salvador. He's never been convicted of a crime in either country. He has no criminal record. But you guys are happy to let him rot for the rest of his life in a prison in a foreign country, a country that a federal judge gave him special protection from being deported to, which court order the Trump administration violated. The Trump administration violated a second court order by transporting him to El Salvador. Let them prove it in court. That's what due process is. If they prove it in court, people will accept it. Unlike you guys, who still don't accept that the guy that you voted for was convicted of 34 felonies. Law and order, law and order, law and order. Oh wait, I'm going to vote for a convicted felon, adjudicated rapist, and fraudster who still owes the state of New York $500 million, who tried to overturn a free and fair election and incited an insurrection at the United States Capitol. Let the government prove it in court. Spoiler alert, they can't. I wish you guys had some idea of how gobsmackingly stupid the rest of us think you are, because you demonstrate that to us on a daily basis with zero room for doubt or interpretation.
Let's face it, guys, things are bad, and they're getting worse. There's no doubt about it. But not all is lost, at least not yet. We do not have to give in to this fascist tyranny. We can defeat this, but you can't give up. Now, there's signs all around that show things are going very badly for Trump, and that he may not win in his attempt to turn this democratic republic into a fascist dictatorship. I posted a video a short while ago on YouTube, the Romano Report on YouTube. If you don't follow me over there, you really should. TikTok, for all of its pluses, is not a real serious place. It doesn't reward in-depth commentary. So I have to keep this under 2 minutes, or else it'll get virtually no views. But if you want to hear in-depth commentary about what's going on in this country, follow the Romano Report on YouTube. But in just one example of how things are not going all Trump's way, he's lost at the Supreme Court twice in just the last week. I know people think that the Supreme Court is just a rubber stamp for Donald Trump, and they'll do whatever he wants. It's just not so. They're bad. There's some corrupt members of that court, and they are highly partisan. But they have ruled against Donald Trump many times, and I think people will be surprised at how many times they're going to be forced to rule against him in the future, because so many of the things that Trump is doing are so flagrantly unconstitutional that not even this court can defend him. And early this morning, I'm recording this on the 19th of April, Saturday. Early this morning, the court struck him down again in his illegal attempts to kidnap people and send them to a concentration camp, essentially, in El Salvador. He was blocked yet again by the Supreme Court. Anyway, please follow the Romano Report on YouTube. You'll be glad you did, I promise. If you like my content here, you'll love it on YouTube.
I'm going to say some things about unity here, about Donald Trump, me, and you. I don't care if you're a flat earther. Flat earther, really don't. I don't care if you hate gefilte fish. I love gefilte fish. I don't care if the worst movie ever made by far, truly terrible, Titanic, happens to be your personal all-time favorite. Don't care about that either. All I care about right now is if you are fighting for democracy, if you are fighting for freedom, if you are fighting to keep Donald Trump from becoming America's first dictator, I love you, man, with all my heart. Everyone who's working for freedom right now, for democracy right now, everyone who plans to vote, if we get a chance to vote again, I think we will, for democracy and against Donald Trump, you know what? They may not have always been my friends in the past, but right now they are my best buddies and will be so for the next 3.5 years. I've heard people dissing Cory Booker for being performative. No. You know, I've had my problems with him in the past, but right now, he and I, best buddies. I've heard people dissing Bernie and AOC for staging these rallies, waste of time. No. Right now, those are my best buddies too. David Brooks, New York Times conservative columnist, is talking about staging a national uprising. Another best buddy. We can't afford infighting. We need to unify. You know, I'm a dual Polish U.S. citizen, and Poland went through this same exact thing in 2023. And what happened? A bunch of disparate elements, they weren't friends, got together, unified, and defeated their emerging dictatorship. We need to be like them, unified despite our differences before their election. They had protests. We'll have protests tomorrow. albeit one in San Jose. We need to be out there week after week, millions of us. That's how we start to win.
I just want to give a heads up to some Trump supporters, because something's coming up that's going to be troubling for them. With Donald Trump's tariffs and the tariffs on China, we're going to be in for some problems. And there are two businesses that are going to be most affected, that being the farmers. They're already getting a little skittish out there, but the truckers in this country too, because if you understand, farmers aren't producing products, truckers aren't going to have anything to move. The interesting thing is that farmers and truckers almost predominantly vote for Donald Trump. Now they're going to be crying and whining, but they knew what they were getting into. They heard Donald Trump say, we're going to do tariffs. Now, if you didn't do any investigation and don't understand what tariffs mean to your business, well, not my fucking problem. Or the fact that you've been able to see and hear what Donald Trump has done for 10 years and you still decide to vote for Donald Trump. Again, there's not a lot of empathy here. But there's a little anger because what you did in voting and supporting for Donald Trump hurt a lot of people that are innocent, that didn't vote for Donald Trump. This is going to be a rough several months unless Donald Trump does something to pull things back. But even if he does pull back the tariffs, it's still going to be a disruption that's going to cost you money. I want you to remember this. If you're a farmer who voted for Donald Trump or a trucker that voted for Donald Trump, when things go badly, and they will go badly over the next 6 months, think about who you're going to blame. Don't worry so much about owning the libtards. Place it right where it belongs, the blame where it belongs. And that is on Donald Trump initially. But secondarily, it's you, because you supported this and you insisted on this. Now you got it. You're not owning the libtards anymore. Guess what? You fucking owned yourself.
All right, Trumpers, come and get me. Hey, listen, just come out now. Volvo's laying off like 150 employees, and Mack Truck is laying off like another 80-something employees out through their organization because of all the tariffs that are coming in. This just goes to show you exactly how bad these tariffs are. And anybody that speaks out against these tariffs in the Trump organization, Donald Trump comes at them with the wrath of God. I'm not really for sure why. We've talked about this before. I think it's a little man syndrome, if you know what I mean, if you can read between the lines, because these tariffs does nobody any good, but what it does do is continue to raise the cost for consumers. It raises the cost of vehicles, trucks. Manufacturing can't keep up. People begin to get laid off. And now we go down this slippery slope of now people not being able to afford their payments, their homes, etc., because now they're getting laid off. That goes into a recession. For any of you economical people out there that want to be Trumpers that are probably uneducated, that's how that whole cycle works. You get laid off. People can't pay for shit. People go into default. Companies don't get their money, so on and so forth. Now we go into a recession. But I get you dumb fucks that can't understand now. But needless to say, that's the latest and greatest this morning. I hope everybody has a great Easter. MAGAs, thanks for fucking us.